Hey, what's happening? Brian Willett here. It's Friday afternoon, and typically what I like to do on Friday afternoons is I'm wrapping up my Friday, my week. I like to watch some videos and really invest in myself and my personal development and invest in my self education. And so I bought a seminar and I've been watching these videos of all these different speakers, and this is something I've done for about a decade. And with all these speakers, and they could be authors, they could be business owners, could be the next big internet guru, if you will. One of the things that most of these folks have in common is this underlying theme of some type of tragedy that occurred in their life. Whether they were broke, they were homeless, they may have come from a family, or maybe they were even adopted, but they may have came from a family where both parents weren't involved. They could have had a dad in prison, or they could have just been raised by a single mother just because, or their dad was never around. And so that's kind of the underlying theme of a lot of these talks and these stories, and the success that these people have had is truly amazing. And I love watching these folks speak because it inspires me, it motivates me. And but one of the things I've started to do here recently is I personally believe that my story is probably very similar to your story. And what I mean by that is, sure, have we had some challenges in our life? Absolutely. I have, you have. But most of us probably have not had anything that tragic, okay? And so let me give you an example. Okay, for me, my background is very simple. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, just outside the city in suburbia. Okay, both my parents, they worked hard. We were lower middle class, if you will, as far as economics go. But we had two cars. I didn't go without food. Okay, we had a meal every single day. Sure, I'm sure there were times where things were tight for my parents. We didn't get everything that we wanted. The people that I hung around when I was a kid, they had better clothing, they had better shoes, but we did not go without. And my story is probably very similar to yours. Most of us probably fall into that same category. And so I go through elementary school, I go through middle school, I get to high school, and I'm a solid B.C. student, not great. All right, but we're getting now towards the end of high school, and sure, college was on my mind just because your teachers and counselors shove it down your throat. But it really wasn't mandatory by my parents, even though my mom wanted me to go to college. And she tried to provide some incentives for my brother and I to go to college, but it wasn't necessary. And so she gave me the decision. And so what I decided to do is that first fall, right after graduation, I didn't go to college. Instead, I'd been working at the grocery store since I was 17, and so I just continued to work at the grocery store and take on more hours. So I'd spend about 4 hours in the morning in the deli or the bakery, and the second half of the day, I would be doing the frozen food. I would stock the shelves of frozen food. And so I did that for that first fall. Well, then, pressures of society. Oh, you got to go to college. What are you going to do? And so I decided, well, I better do like everyone else does, and I decided to go to community college. And so I lasted there literally 6 weeks, and I said, this is not for me. Okay, well, luckily my older brother, he had gone to electronics school and got a 2-year degree, and I said, well, if he can do it, why not I? I can do it too. So I decided to go to electronics school. Well, if there is some tragedy in my background, and sure it was tragic, but it didn't impact how I grew up, okay? But about maybe 4 months before I was graduating, my brother was tragically killed in a car accident. And it was definitely very impactful on our family. It's impactful on our family to all the way up until today. My brother and I grew up 18 months apart. He was 22, I was 20 at that time. And it was very tragic. And at that time, after we got through that, I still went on to graduate, and I went to work. So there I was at 2021. I had a really good job. I was making more money at that time than probably than individually my parents made. And so I was doing okay. I was living the dream, right? I was doing let's just say better than my parents, at least as an individual. I decided to buy a house. I had a good job. I had some student loan debt. I had a car debt, right? That's the American dream, right? I was doing whatever I wanted. I was living that dream. And so, well, then what happened is, something happened in my head, and I said, this is not going to get me where I want to be. I want to be the boss, all right? I'm just going to be honest with you. I wanted to be the boss, and so this is not going to get me where I want to be. So I go back to school. I end up getting a bachelor's degree and ultimately a master's degree. So let's just fast forward. Now I'm about 30, okay? And so around 30, 31 or so, I decided that this is not for me. I have these debts, right? And sure, maybe you've been there before. I'm living this pretty average lifestyle, right? That's all I knew. That's what I grew up with. That was all that was around me. I didn't know any business people really. So I was just working and doing whatever I can, making ends meet. And I was gonna do that for the next 30 years, right? And then retire like we all wanted to do. And so I started thinking about there has to be a better way. And I came up with a very simple goal. I said, I want to retire by the time I'm 50. And so at the time I was making, a good six-figure income. And I started investing into some real estate. And I started investing into some Roth IRAs. And I got focused on getting out of debt. Okay? And by the time I was 33 or 34, I was making good money. I had a one house purchased. I wish I would have bought more by that time, but that's okay. And I didn't have any car debt at that time, and I was saving a lot of money. And so then I started buying a few other properties. And by that time, I'm like, okay, this is not the career I wanted. And so I started venturing out and pursuing some other opportunities, really investing in myself so I could one day go out on my own and start my own business. And that's what I've ultimately have done, okay? Now, I'm not sitting here saying I'm a multimillionaire because I'm not. I've done okay though, okay? Now, my wife and I, are we doing better? Absolutely. But what we're doing is probably very similar to yours. And that is, I'm just trying to figure out a way, and I've figured out a way over the last 10 years, how to invest into some things to make some additional income, okay? Not millions of dollars necessarily. Well, it's not millions of dollars, let's be honest with you. But, maybe it's $500 a month or $1,000 a month. But my mentor told me, he said, if you got an extra $1,000, how much would it change your life? And let me ask you that. Would $1,000 extra a month change your life? And if you're like me, the answer is yes. Okay? And that was my original focus. How can I get to an extra $1,000 a month outside my normal salary? And I have since surpassed that, obviously, right? I've since surpassed that, and I don't even look at it that way. But I think that was the first step. That was the first step for me, okay, was how do I figure out how to make an extra $1,000 a month, then $1,500, then $2,000, then $3,000 outside my normal income or salary, all right? And my guess is that's where you are. Okay, we both have grown up in this average lifestyle where we didn't think much bigger. Sure, we wanted the next bigger home or the next car, and we want all these. We want to pay for our kids to go to college if you have children, and all these things. We want all these nice things, but if you're like me, we get so focused on this average lifestyle, what society wants from us, that we never think bigger. And once I started thinking bigger, I can design my life however I wanted. Everything changed for me. And here I'm sitting in Naples, Florida. Okay, my wife and I, we live here now. We have some property in Louisville, and we're looking at buying other properties at other places. And we're living the lifestyle that we want to live, all right? And all of this was possible because I made the decision. Now we've made the decision, okay, as a couple, how can we make a few extra $1,000 a month or whatever it ends up being, and let's invest that money, and that will change our life. But we're designing our life. We're not just living a life. And I'd say most of us, okay, most of us have made a decision just to live a life. And you may be living the life that you want, okay? I'm not saying you're not, all right? But if you want And my guess is you do ultimate freedom, all right? And ultimate freedom means I don't owe anybody anything. No obligations, meaning I don't owe anybody anything and I can live off of my own resources, which is financial independence. Okay? Now, money ain't everything, all right? But because of money, most of us do things that we don't necessarily want to do, or we do them because we have to do them, and then we say we enjoy doing them. But if you are really honest with yourself, the chances are you would rather be doing something else. I know I would, right? And so that's my story. I really just wanted to share my story with you today. And hopefully you found some value in my story because, again, I don't want to discount all of these great prolific authors and speakers and their story and their tragedy and how they got where they got. They're much, much more successful than I am as of today, at least monetarily. But my story is closer to your story. I'm not going to take you from $0 to $1 million. I've not done it, right? But I can take you from $0 to $1,000 to $2,000, maybe $3,000 extra a month. And my guess is that would change your life. Okay? If you found some value in today's video, I know it's a long video, but I really wanted to get my story out there. Click my logo at the bottom right-hand corner. Subscribe to my YouTube account. Also, if you found some value in this video, just share it with others. And also, I'd love to hear your comments. Just wherever you listen or watch this video, just add some comments in the comments section. All right? And if you're interested in learning how to set some goals, all right, and get out of this average lifestyle and start making your way towards designing your own life and living the lifestyle you want. All right, I'm not talking about an extra $1 million a year or $1 million a year or $100,000 a year. We're not going there. You may get there, and that would be great. I'm going there with you, hopefully. But I'm talking about something simple. How can we just start designing our life and getting where we want to go? And it all starts with vision planning and goal setting. And I can help you, and I'd love to help you. Reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great weekend.